This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you, the pit crew, are the real star of today's show, because we are here to chit-chat about sim racing news. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. Happy Friday to everybody. I got to tell you, even though I work on the weekends, Friday is just that day. It's the day of the week that just, I think we all get a good smile on our face, looking forward to the fun that we have planned for the weekend, and usually for most of us, that includes some big races, and that is the case for myself this weekend. I'll be running a Daytona 500 with Pacific Majors Sunday night. I will be streaming that race on Sunday night, but I'm going to be doing an actual 500-mile Daytona race, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I ran in their twin 125s, or whatever you want to call them, their duels, on Wednesday night, and had a decent run. Finished in 9th, did okay. Felt a lot stronger than that 9th place finish, and that's considering having a long break since the last time I did some oval racing. So let's talk general sim racing news instead of Sean news. Starting off with F1 2017, we have yet another. This is the season. 'Tis the season. It's McLaren's turn. So there is the infamous orange of McLaren. And it's that reveal time of year. And if you're really, really hardcore into Formula One, you know, you're going to look at certain spots on the car, wings, air intakes, dimensions of the car, the halo, the size of the wings. And that's what's going to really differentiate the 2018 model from the 2017, 2016, etc. Anyway, so that's great for them, and again, these keep popping up, and I'll keep mentioning it, and it kind of goes back to even what Billy and I were talking in our podcast, Billy's podcast yesterday, which I'll get to in a moment. But F1 2017, these are the guys with the license, the rights, and they are going to be the first to legally have these liveries. My big question is it going to be something we get now? I mean, they're here, racing's going to start up, or when is F1 2018 scheduled to release? They're always so far behind. By the time the game comes out, the cars are already 3/4 of the way through the season. So hopefully they can expedite that so we can drive with the halo and the new things going on in F1. Next up, Project Cars 2. We talked about it, Spatial. The update number 4. Well, it took them a while to get it to all of the platforms, but sure enough, here's the final. This is the P-Cars update for the Xbox One. Long list of things being changed there, and we are to that point where 1.4, which I have not. I know John Hill is just driving it the other day. I need to get out there and do some Project Cars and feel the difference, because a big part of the difference in P-Cars right now with patch 1.4 is supposedly the feel. So that's cool. Next up, R Factor 2 had a thing. So remember FIA, Formula E, the big competition? This sure looks like one of those rigs, practically. Anyway, this is a setup that they had going for a big Formula E party going on, kind of getting ready to kick off the season. And some pros and some media people and some important celebrities were there getting a chance to drive in the sims and have a good time driving the Formula E that is available to everybody at this point in R Factor 2. So, cool story there. Next up, I've been encouraging you all to get out there. If there's an esport that I think is just available to anyone to get in and do well in with just mastering the discipline and pushing themselves, it's dirt. So Red Bull Games actually did a whole write-up, and it's actually a week ago, and I think I've mentioned it once before, but I'm just going to mention it again. They are straight up giving you their tips on what it's going to take to build a setup that's going to be competitive and get you up on this leaderboard. So, you know, it's not, I mean, the setup on dirt is a little simplified compared to full-blown sims. But even then, it is important. So here you're being given some tips on what to do setup-wise, learn the stages, run them, and see what you can do. I'd love to hear stories from you guys, from some of the pit crew that said, you know, I went after this championship and, you know, I was only 120th on the board, and I'd be like, wow, that's actually really high. So I know you said it like only, but where do you stand? How did you do? Games we got our eyes on, still keeping up with Dakar. And as long as they keep giving us new visuals, I'm going to be checking it out, looking for little cues, little visual cues. What do we see? Well, I'll tell you a few things I see in this photo. Number one, I see some great lighting, some obviously great water effects. I see rain coming down. What else do I see? Those sure look like a bunch of ATVs, like four-wheelers. So we are learning little tease things. This is Bolivia, La Paz, Bolivia. The stage between Bolivia and Uni. Yeah, exactly, Stu. That's a great point, too. Not only does that Red Bull, you know, it's a cool competition, but yeah, the winner actually gets to drive a real car at that Speed Machine Festival in Silverstone. So there's fun prizes to be had. Next up, World's Fast. Oh, Rudy Van Buren, living the life. I saw someone say, look at him in his blanked out uniform. I guess you can see the hierarchy. You got your pros in full sponsorship details. You got, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, their actual test driver in half colors. And then you got Rudy there ready for the simulator action. But there he is. I mean, this is... I mean, come on. The guy is in the photo with the F1 team. It's not just working at McLaren. It's not just driving the Sims. It's not just Race of Champions. This is a dream photo. This photo went out to the world. This wasn't just, hey, let's give Rudy one for Rudy. This is the photo they are sending to the world. So congratulations once again, Rudy. Living the life. And I don't know if you remember when we did the interview and we talked about him driving an F1 car. Look at how big Rudy is compared to these guys. He's gigantic. He could probably fight all three of them simultaneously. Not that that's what they do at McLaren. But anyway, living the life, Rudy. Congratulations. Tokyo Game Show has detailed some of the details of their game show coming out. And they seem to have a theme each and every year. And this year's theme is sort of an extension from last year. But they're going with Esport X. So again, when you look at the game shows, it's not just that they're presenting all the games, but they are looking to the future of our industry. And esport, every game in all of gaming is being affected by esport right now. So we talk about and we point out our motorsport version of esport, but we you know, it's a whole. We're a whole. Anyway, and Mikael, I totally am envious. I won't even for a moment act like I'm not. This is the dream of dreams. I'm a motorsport fan. I love racing. Formula One is the peak, the pinnacle of racing. So yeah. I'm jealous. I'm envious. I'm very happy that somebody gets to do it from the sim racing world, and I talked to Rudy extensively. He's a great guy, and he deserves it. So, big thing with Discord. A lot of us patron members hang out on Discord, chatting away all day long. Incredible conversations. Anyway, Discord is also going esports, so they're setting up dedicated servers, dedicated streaming, purely built for. I mean, Discord is a lot like a lot of things that have existed in the past, but it was made with gamers in mind. That is really one of the main points of its development, and it's sort of found other uses. But this is getting back to the roots of Discord and them, you know, really getting involved and staying on top of the esport world as well. I'm going to move along on some of these if they're not sim racing related. All the links to all the topics I talk about are at thesimpit.com. So if you go there, look for that beautiful picture of the McLaren team, click on it, you'll have all the links. I didn't make them hyperlinks. I apologize. It takes a lot of time to do that. So if you guys hate that I don't hyperlink, send me an email telling me you hate it, and maybe I'll consider spending the extra time. For now, I'm not sure if it's worth my time, so I'm being careful on that one. Anyway, we've talked about cloud gaming, and so right here you're talking about it. It's here. It's coming. Shadow virtualizes a high-end gaming PC on your desktop clunker. Basically, you got a keyboard, you got a monitor, it's connected to the internet, and you're going to be able to process games that you wouldn't be able to play on that computer via their cloud service. In today's technology, at least here in the United States with internet speed, there's no way that I could play iRacing or Assetto Corsa via the cloud like they're talking about. I could play simpler games that way for sure. And in the future, you know, and you think about if you're old like I am, You remember things like baud rate, if you're talking old school modems. And, you know, I think at first it was a 1400, then it was a 2800, then it was 56, so on and so on. Correct me if I'm wrong on my numbers. And then at some point, I think 14.4, 28.8 was the final point before it actually went to the actual, like, cable, internet, broadband instead of phone line stuff. But we still go through those exponential growths and chipsets and everything computers. It goes up in that kind of multipliers. So in time, we might someday get to the point where you don't need a supercomputer at home to even play something like iRacing. You just need a decent internet machine that accepts USBs, but I'm sure at that point they'd be built like that. But don't be surprised if in the next 10 years you throw away your PC and go with something that is maybe only the size of about a hard drive, really. Moving right along. Oh, here's another. I don't do politics, but I do when they touch gaming. Anyway, here's a genius. This politician, Roberto Nardolillo, says that they should ask for tax on violent video games. So what, if I want to play Grand Theft Auto, I gotta pay extra taxes so they can put it into mental disorder programs and things? Anyway, I don't know. How very American. Take something that people enjoy, find a negative way of looking at it, and then tax the shit out of them. So, genius idea. Anyway, who knows what they could define as violent. Crashing cars is violent as far as I'm concerned. Next up, EA publisher sale on Origin products. So, it doesn't affect us except for one sim racing or gaming racing. I don't mean gaming, but Need for Speed Payback is on a huge discount. So if you go to EA Arise Origin, and they've made changes, so you can get Payback for 60% off, which makes it $23.99. So, and if you're looking for any of these other games here we have listed, you can get some other good deals. Microsoft just had an article. I'm not going to dwell on it, but VR is something on my mind right now because I've been doing VR racing more than ever as I test the Windows mixed reality, actually. But they talk about what to expect, and in this they basically go on to say, don't expect it to be just VR. Don't expect it to just be AR. But we are going to get a hybrid of these technologies combined into one, and that's what Microsoft is saying the future may be. So, this is cool. Somebody sent this in. The Man, are you here today? Thank you so much. The Man is basically, you all should thank The Man, THAMAHN. The Man is one of the biggest, he is the biggest contributor. He is, half of these stories I have that I think are just really cool to talk about came from him. So, thank you once again, buddy. But anyway, here's a cool trailer of a cool game. Just looking for diversion games that deal with the automotive world at all. You know me. But this is a total, like, Toy Story. That's what it reminds me of. It's like playing Toy Story race cars. And, you know, did you see that they were, like, going through cans of Campbell's soup? There was sushi on the sidelines. Anyway, I think it looked cool, looked fun, and the game is called Super Toy Cars, and it arrives on the Nintendo Switch March 2nd. So this, to me, is sort of like the best Switch driving game I've seen yet. Rocket League getting more cars. I don't know how long I'm going to keep covering Rocket League, to be honest with you, but with it being our Monday Fun Day game, it still seems a little relevant, but I did see an article about the Monster Cat coming on, and from this article, it sounds like that's something they actually kind of brought back. So people who've been Rocket League fans have seen the changes throughout, and so this is sort of them bringing something back, if I'm not mistaken. And that's going to be in the spring update, and we saw a whole list of changes coming to Rocket League and their new league beta that they're trying out and things like that. Burnout Paradise, so they're doing the remastered version, but you can plan on it not having the PlayStation VR support. So that might have been something that people who love Burnout but haven't played it in a while were hoping, oh, now I can play it on my PlayStation VR. Nope, you can't. And with that, they also did away some of their camera support, which In the previous version on the PS3, I believe to get some of the trophies, you had to have a PS3 camera to be able to take your picture. And if you didn't have it, you couldn't achieve those trophies. And the cameras were expensive. Not everyone wanted one. They've done away with that, supposedly, in the remastered version as well. Wow, I thought I needed that story twice. Or did I miss something? Hold on, bear with me. Nope. Nope. I thought I had another one from them. Alright. If you don't know, PSN is having some issues right now. I've been hearing about them. Supposedly they're fixed. Supposedly they're not fixed. Supposedly they're fixed. It keeps going back and forth, but apparently PlayStation Network is having issues, and it's weird. We kind of have been hearing more and more of these going around, actually, which is unfortunate, but you wonder what's going on. What's causing these issues and problems? Big GameStop deals. So I'm not going to list them all, but if you are looking for a deal, it's not just games from GameStop, but it's like Xbox One X's, all sorts of deals. So again, if you're looking for a good discount, holiday season is over, head over to GameStop and you might find some good deals, things you're looking for. This whole article about, talking about future NASCAR stars could get their start in online racing. And they're talking about the competitions that are starting to go on. They're talking about William Byron, who started out in iRacing, worked his way up through the NASCAR series, and is now in the big number 24 car. This is the path, and one of the paths. And as we see, I'm going to mention the conversation that Billy Strange and I had on the Billy Strange Racing channel yesterday. iRacing's NASCAR deal could be one of the proving grounds in the end, and where they might not be as sophisticated as Call of Duty Esport up and filling stadiums, but with what they're planning with the whole Richmond Racing Motorsports thing going on, with the whole NASCAR affiliation, we might see a lot more William Byrons out there coming along. So, this is a cool article at the Esport Observer with Darren Cox of Millennial Motorsports, talking about the world's fastest gamer competition in general, and talking about how this particular esport competition, which our hero Rudy won, was very democratic. It allowed such an open, wide, diversified group to have a shot at getting their way in. And if you think about it, they're really right. Yeah, there are a few people who had golden tickets to the final. But think of how many disciplines they allowed entries in. Think of how many qualifiers they had and opportunities for you to get your way up the ladder. Anyone. It was open to everybody, not restricted to just gaming pros or existing esport teams. It was a truly democratic competition. So cool article there. Just another article. I mean, I said it. I've been saying it since, shoot, 8th month of 2017. But this is the year of esport. So it's here. Another article just backing that same opinion. All right, here's my other genius of the day. Lewis Hamilton. Big fan of e-gaming, but says it won't produce F1 world champions. Well, number one, I think he's wrong. Number two, of all the people to say it, his brother actually used sim racing to train to actually be able to even get in a car and prove to his parents that he was capable of getting in a car, all of the Project Cars story on him. So I find it kind of fascinating that all people, and so I'm not going to call him a dipshit for life, but certainly in his opinion here, I think Lewis Hamilton's a little threatened. I don't think he wants to acknowledge the fact that he could be displaced one day by somebody even much a gamer. And of course he says this while playing Gran Turismo, and I wonder if that's part of the opinion. Ellis, I will look into that right away. Immediately. I'm very, very sorry about that. So, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Lewis Hamilton, I agree. In China, in school, they are actually pushing people to play video games and get involved in esport. China has the mental awareness to realize that esport could be the future of professional sports in our world. Internationally, globally. And they are now saying, hey, let's get our people doing this now. Let's be dominant in the world of esport. And I think that that's not a bad way of thinking. And you look at the growth of esport and how big can it get? If the whole world's playing it, if the whole world's doing it, that puts it up there with soccer. That puts it up there with, like, the big sports. It could be big someday. We have no idea. Ellis, I need to write myself a note so I don't forget, too. But I'm going to get on that right away. Next up, Billy, I don't know which version you're playing. Monster Energy Supercross PS4 patches fixes AI and save game issues. So I still haven't played it myself, but if you are, apparently there have been a few little bugs I've heard about. I don't know how many of these it fixes, but that is cool. So go to over there. Another conversation, speculation we've all had on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And this article here at Road to VR says that there will be VR support. So, in case people are wondering what would or would not be in the game, it will have VR support. That's great news. And moving right along. I almost made this my image of the day. Recent study shows that video games improve focus. And that actually doesn't surprise me thinking about it, but I'm glad somebody studied it and checked. But, you know, you're forced to focus when you're video gaming. It takes 100% concentration, and I've even done stories and videos on avoiding distractions, and you've seen my dog distract me during races. But we are very focused. So, great picture here of this kid gaming away with 3 beautiful women, not only around him, but, like, staring at him and rubbing up on him and touching him, and he is all game. So, congratulations to him. I'm going to give him my Focus of the Day award, and I wish I had that focus in every time I raced. So, that is it for the main news of the day. One thing I do want to mention, here is the image for Billy Strange Racing. In the description of the show, I have a link to the video. At the Simpit with that picture of the McLaren team with Rudy Van Buren. If you go there, you'll see this video. And this is a audio podcast of a conversation between me and Billy Strange, and many of you know Billy, just talking about Assetto Corsa Competizione. And we kind of just had, like, speculation on what it meant, what it could be, how awesome, how terrible it all could be. And then we kind of went from that and started talking about esport in general and sort of the path and where we think. And just, it was a great conversation. It was about an hour long, and it was just back and forth. And I think we both had some great points, and I was entertained watching the entire thing. I'm sorry, just doing the entire thing. Excuse me, 1 second. Excuse me. So, anyway, thank you, Billy, for doing that, and please go check that out at Billy Strange Racing on YouTube, and you can check that out. Beyond that, Mitchie said something about having a stream at a race on his channel today, so you can go over there to Mitchie Hoyer's channel on YouTube and check that out. I will be back later tonight with race number 2 of week 2 at Laguna Seca. And right here, if you see the image here that I have up for tonight's race, that is a picture of me taking out Moses Choi last night. So if you want to see me on my worst behavior, you want to see me make a terrible, terrible mistake, go watch last night's race of the 90s DTM at Laguna, and you'll be able to see what happened to poor Moses, thanks to me. And tonight will be Redemption Friday as I try to do better than last night's finish. So I'm going to have to be a little more focused. I'm going to have to be a little more like this guy tonight. That's Sean tonight. You bring on all the women. You have them rubbing up. I'm going to be all focused trying to better my position. Redemption Friday in the DTM series. Beyond that, like I said, Sunday, I think it's at 6 o'clock. I'll let you know in advance. I'll be in that Daytona 500 race at Pacific Majors. I will be streaming the entire race from my end. Totally looking forward to that. You never know what's going to happen at Daytona. It could be great. It could be horrific. You never know. Anyway, beyond that, you guys, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you get out there and race. I want to thank you so much for your conversation about all these great topics. I want to thank you for being part of the pit crew and making it so fun to do these live shows each and every day. That's going to do it for today. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.